Board of Education meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Bosso.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Ms. Martindale.
Here.
Mr. Schreiner.
Here.
Mr. Caldwell.
Here. Next, could I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Ms. Johnson, do we have a second?
Second that.
Those, roll call, or any additions or corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Bosso.
Yes.
Ms. Martindale.
Yes.
Mr. Schreiner.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell.
Yes. Next, in our packet, we have the meetings from the August 14th, 2023 meeting. We have a motion to approve those.
So move Schreiner.
Mr. Schneider, any, or can I have a second?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Here none, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Schreiner.
Yes.
Ms. Martindale. Mr. Bosso.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell.
Yes. All right, tonight we have a couple presentations for our community. We're going to start with Dr. Susan Hayward, Assistant Superintendent for Personnel, for the staffing update.
Good evening, President Caldwell, Vice President Schreiner, Mr. Bozo, Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Martindale, Dr. Wise, and Mr. Garside. This evening, I will be updating you on the district's current standing as it relates to staffing for the 2024 school year. When school started last week, we were almost fully staffed with certificated staff, and we continue working towards being fully staffed with classified positions. Currently, we still need to fill the following high needs positions: aides, bus drivers, cooks, custodians, and maintenance. We have approximately 2,700 employees in our district. Of these 2,700 staff members, this equates to approximately 59% certificated, 37% classified, and 3.7% administrative. During the 2020 to 2023 school year, we had 73 retirements. We had 1 administrative, 39 certificated, and 33 classified. We also had 211 resignations, administrative 3, certificated non-administrators 99, and classified 109. For the 2023-2024 school year, we have filled 194 staffing positions. Administrative new or changes in positions 6. Certificated non-administrators 146, and classified 47. Certificated subs. At this time last year, we had 186 board-approved substitutes. Following tonight's Board of Education meeting, we will have approximately 312 substitutes approved. We will continue prioritizing the hiring of additional substitute teachers. We will also be continuing the sub incentive program for this school year. After working 50 days, a lump sum of $500. After working 100 days, a lump sum of $750. And after working 150 days, a lump sum of $1,000. Enrollment Center. We will continue monitoring our enrollment numbers as we do yearly during the first couple weeks of school, and we'll make any adjustments needed to serve our students. Our summer recruiting on July 27th for our certificated job fair was very successful. And lastly, I would like to enhance the marketing initiatives that we have been working on. Thank you, Evan and Meredith, for all your work in this. Monthly ads in the Messenger's Sunday edition. Reoccurring social media advertisements for high need positions. Stringtown and 62 advertising with the city on banners. Emails to our network of 21,000 family emails and Infinite Campus. And redesign the careers tab on the website to be more user-friendly. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Dr. Hayward?
Thank you.
Next in presentations, we have Mr. Mark Meadows, Supervisor for Construction Project and Property Service.
Good evening, President Caldwell, Vice President Schreiner, board members, Dr. Wise, Mr. Garside. Summer times here in the district in my department, property services, is typically a very hectic, busy time of year. This summer proved kind of give you a brief breakdown of what we were able to accomplish this summer. One of the biggest projects we managed to accomplish, and it was on a very stringent timeline, was Darby Woods and Buckeye Woods Elementary Schools. A lot of you may be familiar with, they were constructed with a collapsible kind of movable wall set up between all of the classrooms. Those systems have kind of reached the end of their life cycle and were in dire need of repair. So our solution was, why not go the traditional route with CMU walls and doors? We managed to accomplish this start to close in one summer. And I'll be honest with you, if you're there now, it almost looks like it was built that way from the beginning. One caveat to this that due to lead times that will be pushed off to the winter break will be the collapsible walls that still remain at the multi-purpose gym and cafeteria area. The site still really like the adaptability to those walls being movable. So those will be replaced, but they were a long lead time item and were not able to be accomplished this summer. They will be pushed off to winter break. Outside of that, we had our Hayes addition. It finished up and opened to students at the start of school. It turned out really well. That is another piece that if you walk the transition from old school to new addition, it's almost seamless. It seems as though that site was always there. It was in an effort to get rid of those portables out there. And honestly, it couldn't be nicer. This project went really well, on time, all of that good stuff. I actually really like this site. It turned out nice. On top of that, we are still in the process of upgrading the HVAC systems to all of the intermediates as well as Hayes. This project, due to some lead times in the supply chain, pushed out a little farther than we like. We hope to start getting a lot of that wrapped up this fall and slightly into the winter, but we still hope to get that done here soon. Currently, they're all up and operational. Air conditioning across the board. We're just trying to do the last finishing touches in regards to closeout, commissioning, and those final touches to the project. I'm sure you've probably driven through the district and seen some progress out at the Career Academy. This site is coming along. You can see now we got some storefront coming in. It looks a little different now if you were to go out there now. We got storefront, the building envelope is starting to come to a close. We got some of the larger apparatuses in, the air handling units, ductwork. Once that envelope closes up, we will be able to get this space conditioned and start to work on the interior finishes. We fully expect this site to open for second semester this school year. The Stiles Family Center, this site out here changed quickly. It went from a grassy knoll, so to speak, to a full-on construction site almost seemingly overnight. So the idea here is we are going to be building the new Stiles Family Center on the site of the actual existing original Stiles building, just adjacent to the current family center. Groundwork is underway. They are starting the underground utilities, building pad. The site is fully construction fenced in. They got their laydown area set. We anticipate this project taking approximately 1 school year. Our hope is that this site is open for business for the following school year. As we all can remember, last Christmas was a fun one out at Grove City High School. We ended up having an issue with some water systems out there due to the extreme weather. After some back and forth, we finally got that gym floor approved, and we are in the current replacement stage of that floor. Demo started a couple of weeks ago. Final layouts and everything approved. It's going well. We anticipate that being ready for use roughly October 1st. So far, so well. We haven't ran into really any snags. We anticipate that being ready for use come 10/1 and turn out nicely. Now we're going to kind of get into some of our permanent improvement projects. A lot of you are probably familiar over the past few years, we've kind of had a effort to change out the rubber mulch at some of the playgrounds with some more sustainable kind of reinforced playground pad structures or tiles. They're like a large rubber tile. The one pictured there is West Franklin there. This is basically a longevity thing and a piece for the kiddos. That rubber mulch tends to get everywhere but in the playground. So it was a never-ending battle keeping that in there. So this system allows for that playground to not only look nicer, but perform nicer. There's quite a before and after photo when you look at the two. This summer, we were able to complete both at Darby Dale, one at West Franklin and one at JC Summer. And then here in the fall, I think we're gonna knock the last one at Alton Hall out and it will be complete. After this phase, there will just be a handful of the small playgrounds left. And I think within the next year or so, all of the elementary playgrounds will now be converted over to this tile. We went really paving heavy on the PI funds this year. Pictured here is the Central Crossing campus. This is the most asphalt we have on one site anywhere in the district. We completely seal coated, striped, sealed the whole nine everywhere except for the one area you see is still the construction site from the Career Academy. Once that site is complete, I already have everything in place to seal and pave that as well. It was kind of a moot point if you did it during construction. We also took care of all of the intermediate sites were sealed and striped, crack filled, repaired, as well as Norton Road Head Start. Sorry about that. That site was fully repaved as well. And then this is in an effort to just keep that system moving forward, where every few years we knock off those buildings that are in need of that parking lot preventative maintenance. Out at the transportation lot, this was the final phase of a 3-year project to revamp all of the parking structure and drive structures out of transportation. If you were unfamiliar before, all of the asphalt out there was just roughly, I think it was standard duty asphalt. So where we ran into is the bus parking became really peaked and valleyed. It had a lot of dips and stuff in it from over the years. Parking a very heavy machine on a system that is very heat, it's not very heat resilient, and they're parked there for an extended period of time over summer. It wasn't a very good combination. So our solution was to install some rubber or roller compacted concrete in those parking areas. It's a very rigid, strong structure to house those buses over long periods of time parking. And we went back in with all of the asphalt as a heavy duty asphalt. We also added some parking. It's actually a very big improvement out there. You can see this year, all of the really nice dark stuff is what we did this year. And that closes out this project. Now we get back to a square one where we can just maintain going forward. And that's all I got. Anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to say, I'm so happy to see that we've replaced the mulch and the elemental. I remember when on a weekend, a custodian had to be out there because that mulch had blown against the fence or whatever. Just so nice to see that. And I believe we have those are replacement pads, right? Those are easy to.
Yeah, it's basically, think of it like a tile system in your home or here in the carpet system.
And I think
just
we have
because
that.
one goes bad, you can take that one out and put it.
Is it true that we have, I think we have that for carpets in the elementary as well?
Yep,
Whether,
that's correct.
yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, it was a never ending battle out there with the backpack blower, that's for sure.
Really happy with you.
Thank you.
Before Mark sat down, I want to commend Mark and just, it was a busy summer and I want to call out 3 specifically. I know that's dangerous because everybody worked hard, worked wonderful, but when you really look at Hayes, Buckeye and Darby Woods, every area of those buildings were essentially touched. And we couldn't start our summer clean until after the construction had gone through and phased. And so they really did a heck of a job to get those buildings back in shape, essentially brand new.
Yeah, regionally, those places, the support from the regional folks in proximity to that school, they really pitched in, hit those places hard, and they looked pretty great considering what they were dealing with. Yeah, I would agree.
Mark, I have a question for you.
Sure.
When the district was on much harder financial times, we had a deferred maintenance list. You all have done an incredible job of bringing that down. Where do we stand on that list? Are there still major projects outstanding we need to work on?
I don't know that I would call it major projects, but we are in a place where we're trying to get things on a life cycle. A good example of that would be the asphalt, for example. We're trying to get those on, say, a 5-year life cycle of where we seal and hit those so that they stand up, so we don't need those total repaving jobs. But yeah, we're constantly in talks of what's next, what's coming up next, what are we maybe missing, and yeah, my department has conversations about that kind of stuff all the time. We believe that preventative maintenance is the key to longevity.
You've done an incredible job. Last question I had was about the Buckeye Woods and Darby Woods. In the cafeteria, are we gonna put new accordion doors in?
Correct, they're gonna be, in theory, the same functionality as they have now, but they will have a better, more resilient outer coating to them. I'm sure if you've been out there, you notice how they were kind of almost like a wallpaper kind of thing on the front of it, and it wasn't very sturdy. So we have spec something that has more of a rigid outer shell, but they will function a lot like this, like they do now. They'll be totally collapsible, openable, and they'll have doors split through them exactly. You know, the design doesn't change, just the product itself does.
Mark and Monty, I believe, I don't know, they actually met with those buildings and gave them the choices independently based on the way they use those facilities. So we actually asked staff in the building for seeing the accordion doors back. My understanding is both said we need flexibility.
That was the one, yes, that was the one area where they said, you know, the flexibility of us being able to open that up or close that down is huge.
Thank you.
Well,
And our third presentation tonight is the opening of our schools from Dr. Jimmy Lusher, our Deputy Superintendent.
Good evening, President Caldwell, Vice President Schreiner, Mr. Boso, Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Martindale, Dr. Wise, and Mr. Garside. It is my absolute pleasure to share with you tonight an opening of schools update. On August 21st, we officially kicked off the 2023-2024 school year. After much anticipation and planning, it was joyous, it was productive for our students, for our staff, and for our community. One of the things that we are very proud of is that we did welcome over 150 new certificated staff to our district. What was unique about this group is many of them were not new to the field, they were new to our district, which means they came to Southwestern knowing what we are doing here and wanting to be part of that. Our hope is that our continued focus on sense of belonging and each staff member feeling valued for their service and commitment to the district is creating a culture where people want to come and join our team. Also, we proudly are the 23rd largest employer in all of Central Ohio in both the public and private sector. So when we talk about scale and the hiring process, it is something that we are engaged in all year long. This quote, communication is merely an exchange of information, but connection is an exchange of our humanity, has really been a focus for us as a part of our administrative retreats. As we welcome new administrators into different roles, as we welcome our new teachers and staff, we really want them to think about those connections with students and with families and to really strive for that engagement from day one. So that is a focus. You'll see that as part of our continuous improvement planning, and you'll see that as part of our building improvement plans as well. We talked a lot about the courage that it takes to connect and the time to spend with our families and our students and to truly get to know them and what's unique about them to help them reach their fullest potential. I'm happy to say that this is my third year here, and with the smoothest start to school, I feel like we have seen more opportunities for students and staff to connect authentically and move away from screen time and just checking things off of the list. So I'm going to share a couple of those things with you tonight. First, under teaching and learning, we welcomed over 800 students in June and in August to help them build skills and practice routines so that they would have a smooth transition into their school year. Again, we had 150 new staff greet those students on the first days of school. Once again, we staggered our K-3 so that those students would have one-on-one attention and have a very smooth transition to learn the processes and the functionality of school. We are actively engaged in diagnostic assessments so that our teachers are informed of where students are and they can meet them where they are from day one. So they use those assessments to formally instruct students and to help them in each one of those content areas that they're being assessed. Additionally, we used ESSER funds again to hire 2 new student support liaisons that are full-time, as well as an additional 7 social workers to support our program in K-8 to meet the unique needs of every child. As we say in our business, you can't get to Bloom's taxonomy if you haven't met Maslow. So those folks are really working to support and wrap around the whole child and their unique needs with which they walk through our door every day. As Dr. Hayward indicated, we are watching enrollment very closely. Right now, we are, our projections are accurate. We're hovering around that 21,000 mark within the district. We are currently looking at those numbers day to day to make sure that we are adjusting and keeping those classrooms balanced. across the district. Transportation, and this is one that, just the scale of what we do. This data is from last school year, but each day our buses travel nearly 17,000 miles. We have a fleet of over 200 buses that are up to date, and Tim and Monty have worked very hard to make sure that we are using grant dollars to keep our fleet at the highest functionality possible. Each day, 14,369 riders. This year, we had a successful first rider event for our incoming kindergartners to welcome them and get them used to the routines of buses, and for parents to feel comfortable with what that would look like each day for their child. This year, we'll continue to enhance the TransFinder app. That is an application where parents are able to see where buses are and route for pickup and drop off. And additionally, we're going to be adding a function to this app where there's a service finder piece where they're able to actually problem solve any service needs of the bus. So that will be very helpful to our bus garage as well. Food services. There's some exciting things that have happened this year. First, there's some data here just with the number of lunches and breakfasts that we serve. Proud to say that our meal plans have not gone up since 2017. So for a child to get breakfast, it's $1 in our district. In the elementary's lunch is $2.60. In the intermediate and middles, it's $2.80. And at our high schools, it's $3. So when you think about the ability to feed our children in a very cost-effective way, Lisa does a great job with this. Additionally, as you may be aware, as Mr. Schreiner updates us with what's happening at the state level, there has been a shift in the free and reduced language. Students still receive that qualify for free lunches will continue to get those lunches free. Those families that qualify for reduced lunches will qualify then for that reduced, and the state is picking up all of that totality of costs. So those reduced students will also eat for free as well. Additionally, we are piloting a Medicaid program this year where we've been able to get 5,000 new direct certifications for students to eat on that plan, which is great, which means we can feed more kids, both breakfast and lunch. And lastly, she wanted me to plug that just to continue to remind parents to fill out those free and reduced lunch forms. They really matter and they help us with our federal funding and dollars. This slide is one of my favorites. Our community is just rich with supports and resources from law enforcement to business to healthcare. We just have a broad swath of folks supporting all that's happening in our communities and our schools, and we readily and willingly partner with those folks to create wonderful outcomes. I believe a few of you were actually involved in the backpacks that were distributed this summer. That was a great thing. We'll also host our PTA school information dinner on Tuesday, September 26th at Central Crossing High School at 5:30. And again, I think you'll see some pictures coming up of some of our first responders and law enforcement folks that were out greeting, welcoming kids and families. And then I pulled this slide because this is so important. Our mantra this year as a leadership team is that we do truly shine brighter together. And the work we do can be challenging, but if we always bring it back to the children and the families in our district, we're going to be able to continue to have sustained success as this district always had. So with that, do you have any questions or anything I can share or talk about more? Because I could stand up here all day.
Any questions about that, please? I just have one comment to make, which is, I went to open houses and I went to the first time writers event. The turnout just seemed to be so much higher than before, which I think shows how that engagement is trying to do with parents and families for years is really starting to connect. People are seeing value in that and they're showing up and they want to see what's happening inside the schools. They want to know who their teachers are. And I give a lot of credit to the staff who make our schools welcoming environments for our parents and feel like they're part of that system. It's really important for their child success. Absolutely. Thank you. Next, under items for action, school, community, and students, Smart Joe.
President Caldwell, on the board agenda for this evening for students with community, we only have one item. That is the Southwestern City School Community JROTC units from Central Crossing University High Schools. Travel to Camp Perry, Fort Clinton, Ohio. And having reviewed that item, I would recommend.
Very good. We have a second. Second that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Martindale,
Yes.
Mr. Bosso,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiner,
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell.
Yes. And now for our personnel report, we go to Vice President Lee Schreiner.
Thank you, President Caldwell. On the board agenda this evening are 6 personnel items involving 173 persons. This includes 7 certificated resignations, 4 certificated changes in employment, 99 certificated employments, 13 classified resignations, 11 classified changes in employment, and 39 classified employments. After reviewing these action items, I now move them for passage at this time.
Thank you, Vice President Schreiner. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Johnson, roll call please.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Bosso,
Yes.
Ms. Martindale, Mr. Caldwell.
Yes.
And Mr. President?
Yeah.
Point of personal privilege, if I could.
Sure.
This would be a good time just to say a special thank you to because I'm personnel, to our personnel department for all that they have done. And then you just heard tonight, 23rd largest employer in Central Ohio. A big job, and it's still tough because we're still trying to fill some positions, but we have done very well comparatively to many other districts. So thank you. Please pass that on. Thank you.
Any items for board discussions? Hearing none, motion for adjournment,
I'll move with you.
second, and roll call.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Martindale.
Yes.
Mr. Bosso,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you, everyone. Be safe going home. Well, we'll see you in September.